Oh guys, the end of September, the month that normally gives us our first snowfall, is actually giving us the most heat that we've had all year. First week of fall, and it's actually warmer than it's been all summer, which is fine by me. I have no complaints about it. Unfortunately, my electronics don't like it. So everything's kind of got delayed because sitting here in my bedroom, you can probably hear the fan going here. It's like 40 degrees in here, and last time we had temperatures like this, or conditions like this anyways, I lost 3 external hard drives. They all failed within an hour, so I really don't want to repeat that because I lost a lot of files, like about 6 terabytes altogether. That's a lot of information, so I don't want that to happen again. So everything just kind of got delayed. I'm sleeping nights right now, so I've been up in the daytime, of course, when it's the hottest. But at this very moment, it's about 20 to 1 in the morning, so I'm finally getting a chance to do something right now where it's a little bit cooler. My computer doesn't seem to be doing much complaining at the moment. Every once in a while, the CPU fan just takes off. It sounds like it's going to explode to cool things down. It hasn't done that for a while, so I think I'm safe. I'm trying to not overtax the computer in any way. I'm doing all light stuff and nothing that's really, heavy work or anything. So we'll see what happens when I output this video. It's been sitting here, it's been ready. I just haven't been able to render it because I didn't want to take the chance. So hopefully this goes well and I'm able to put the video up in the morning, which will be Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday morning right now, so I guess by the time I wake up it'll probably be afternoon, so probably Tuesday afternoon if all goes well. I woke up early afternoon on the 23rd. First thing I did was check the radar, and the rain what's left of the rain anyways, was kind of fizzling out and moving away. So I had no idea what happened after I went to bed, but apparently most of the rain fell between 3 and 5 in the morning. So from what I saw, I didn't know this. All I knew was when I went to bed we were still under torrential rains. So apparently I went to bed about halfway through it, so I only saw half of it. But get ready to go out. Yeah, it was sometime between 2 and 2:30 when I finally went to go out. And I was really expecting to see some pretty good flooding. So when I get to the river and it's really not up very high, I was actually shocked. I was really shocked. Unfortunately, I was also disappointed because I was really expecting to see something spectacular. And well, at this point is really not all that spectacular. So, but that was pretty selfish because I know, other people in low-lying places don't want the floods, don't need the floods. Now the farmers sure don't need them, that's for sure. So planting has already been delayed. So it's not, all around, just not a good thing. But either way, I was actually pretty shocked. When I showed this shot here, I zoomed in on it to show all the water's out in the field. But right in the front here, you can see the drop there. That's the water's actually coming back to the river in this spot. So the field is actually getting flooded from somewhere upstream. And I'd say there's a good six feet there that it's coming down back into the river. So a fairly good distance upstream somewhere. All that the water's flowing through. It's not just there. It's actually flowing through the field. So it's a little more damaging than just just being there. And some of that may actually just be left over from the rain, because there's low points out there that the rain collects in, and there's always like big pools of water in different places. So some of it might actually be from that, but it looks like it's flowing pretty good at this point. So I'm thinking it's coming from the river somewhere upstream. When I get down in the trail, this first bridge up here goes over a flood channel, and normally when the river comes up this high, and it goes from right to left out into the field, and then at the far end there's another bridge that goes over where it comes back out to the river. So if you look to the left side of the bridge when I'm crossing here, you'll see there's actually water down there, and it's dirty water. I'm thinking that the river isn't up this high yet, so I'm thinking this just water that came down off the field from the rain that we got. It's really heavy rain, so the water would have been moving quick, and that's why it's dirty. But as I continue on, I'm noticing the flood channel has got water in it as well. And the further along I go, the more water there seems to be, so I'm a little bit confused. I know that we got a lot of rain, so maybe it came from the field, I'm not sure. Then I get to an opening in the trees there, and I can actually see that the field itself is flooded. This is kind of a bit of a surprise. But this poor people that planted this field. It was only planted like a week or two back, and everything's getting all flooded now. So as long as whatever they planted there stays under the dirt, or it's all good. But air bubbles coming out of the ground, or if the water's actually flowing across it and the seeds float, then it's going to be a problem for them. But it kind of surprised me that I actually saw this at this point. So then I get to the second bridge, and this bridge is the one that the water flows back to the river from and drains the field. Well, so I'm looking at it today, and the water is flowing in from the river, so I'm thinking the river is rising and the water is coming in. That's kind of the lowest point, I guess, because if it flows in from the other bridge and out to this bridge, or out through under this bridge, then this is a lower point than the first one. So it makes sense if the river's rising up, then it's going to come in at the lowest point first. So our rivers always peak, well, generally peak about 24 hours after the storms stop. So if we got the heaviest rain about 5 in the morning, then 24 hours would be 5 o'clock the next morning. That's when it would be peaking. So at this point, it would still be going up. That's in my mind anyways. And this field off to the left here, you can see all the water out there and the mud and that. There's always water there, almost always water there. It's kind of the low point in the field, and you get heavy rains, or even in the springtime when the snow melts, it always collects in that particular spot. So that's not related to the river at this point at all. But I wanted to point this out because this particular field will kind of play a part and next time I come out. Many years ago, I believe 2005, 2006, somewhere in that area, I got a picture of this plant. It was an absolutely huge plant. It stood over top of all the others, and my impression of it at that time was a giant Queen Anne's lace. So Queen Anne's lace is pretty nice looking, sort of kinda. It's very skinny. You see it pretty much everywhere, and it's a harmless plant. Its flowers are like little miniature doilies, lace doilies. That's probably why it's Queen Anne's lace. But it's a pretty little plant. But this humongous thing that I saw, it looked just like one, but it was absolutely huge. It was about 10 feet tall, and for weeds, that's really tall for weeds that we have. It turns out that it's an invasive species that was imported from Central Asia as an ornamental garden plant. And I can see why, because it just kind of stands out and commands your attention. But the problem with this plant is it is very toxic. I only found out about the name of this maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So I got a picture of it before I even found out what it was, but I have no idea where that picture is right now. This is one of the reasons why I really need to get through my image database and start putting keywords in so I can find anything I want at any time. But anyways, I did have a picture of it, but I can't find it, so I'm just using the picture I found on the internet here. And just a comparison as to how tall it is, you can see it's it's a huge plant. So anyways, it's called giant hogweed, and the sap in this plant is a what's it called? I'm thinking phototoxin or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but what happens is if you get the sap on your skin, then it makes your skin sensitive to sunlight or ultraviolet light, and you get sunburned really severely in that spot. It's kind of preventable. If you know you've been exposed, then you can really wash really hard, scrub hard with soap and water, and it's supposed to be able to take care of it. But if you don't know you've been exposed, then this is going to be the problem. And the worst part of this is it can mess up the next 10 years of your life. It'll last that long, or can last that long. And apparently it leaves permanent scars afterward. So it's kind of something you really want to avoid. So just give you an idea, here's some specs on it. Its normal growing height is 2.5 to 5 meters. That's pretty tall. The flowers look like humongous doilies. They're 30 to 90 centimeters across, and they're made up of 50 to 150 small flower clusters. The stems are hollow. They can be up to 15 centimeters thick. It's almost like a little tree. And to identify them, they got purple blotches on them, and they have very coarse, bristly hairs. There's two types. There's a biennial, which lives for 2 years. The plant grows the first year and flowers the second. That's usually how biennials work. Or the perennial, which is, I don't think the ones we have are perennials. I think they're biennial because I don't see them in the same place every. But they are an invasive species, and they're spreading like crazy. And I believe there's bylaws in place. If you have them on your property, you're required to remove them. And there's fines if you help, propagate them and intentionally grow them, whatever. So these plants, after they flower, the seeds that they generate, each plant can produce, 15 to 50,000 seeds. It's a really extreme number. It's just absolutely amazing. And the seeds are very buoyant. They float. So you normally find these plants in wet areas like near rivers and streams and that, where the seeds can be transported by the water and floodwaters. So they're all over the place. It's crazy. So if you ever see a plant like this, make sure you avoid it. I've been seeing these along the edge of the trail. Actually, before I get to that, there's another plant that looks similar to it. It's called Angelica. Now, before the plant flowers, it looks just like the giant hogweed. I can't tell the difference just by looking at them. But once they flower, I know which one's which. Because the Angelica has the flowers on it are like spheres. They're like, to me, I call it a giant globe thistle. If you know what a globe thistle is, then you understand. There's two different types in our area, anyways. There's the white flowered ones, and there's the purple flowered ones. The purple flowered ones are the ones I usually see. And don't remember, they have a medicinal use, I think, but it's in the roots itself. It's not the plant. This plant, as far as the sap goes, it's not nearly as dangerous as the hogweed. It's a smaller plant. Like I said, it looks identical. The only thing that's different is it's a bit smaller, and the flowers are a different color and different type. So, anyways, I haven't seen any of the hogweed around since I took that picture. Not in this area, anyways. I've seen it in other places, not down in the rail trail here. But this year, I'm seeing all these plants along the side of the trail, and they look like giant hogweed to me, but they look like very young plants. So I was thinking this is probably what they are, and there's a whole lot of them. In several places on the trail, there's just bunches and bunches of them I've never seen before. So I'm doing research on these to find out how quickly these plants grow. They grow their entire height in one season. So these aren't young plants. So I'm thinking they might be something else. So I get looking around, searching around in all the different plants that we have here in southern Ontario. And I've come to the conclusion that this is probably wild parsnip. They grow 1 to 2.5 meters high, and they get white umbrella-shaped flower clusters, 10 to 30 centimeters across, made up of 15 to 30 small clusters. So they look like the hogweed, but they're smaller. The stems are up to 5 centimeters thick at the base. They are green stemmed with very few to no purple spots whatsoever, and they got soft fuzzy hairs on them. And they are perennial, and they are actually native to Canada or North America. But these plants are also phototoxins. They have the same chemical in their sap that the giant hogweeds do. So it's the same thing. But the problem here is the one place that I see them prominently is where I go underneath the bridge, the street. There's a whole bunch there, and they're all hanging out onto the trail. So I'm just really careful not to brush up against them. As far as I've been able to read, that they're only dangerous if you get the sap on them, and you're just by touching them alone isn't gonna hurt you. So I know I don't want to take that chance. So most of them are in seed right now at this very time. This is September 22nd today when I'm making this video, and they're all in seed, or most of them anyways. There are still a few, probably late bloomers or whatever, that still have flowers on them, but for the most part they're all dried up. So I just thought I'd mention that. I've been seeing these plants for a while, and this is the day I decided I was going to make a video about them. So that's what we got. When I get down to the park, you can see all the water out there, on the left side and right side. That's just from the rain. The river's not up in here yet. And the parking lot's pretty saturated now too. You gotta go slow with the monster because I don't have mud flaps on the front tires, so I get splattered by mud and water if I don't. So this river is up just a little bit, not very much. It was already swollen pretty good 4 days ago from the rain that we had 4 days ago, and it's just this river's always different. Even when it floods, it's still not really dirty water, and it's got the color of tea, but it always does even when it's not flooding. It's an ugly color for the water, like pollution or something. But when the floodwaters come through here, it's always tranquil. It's very peaceful. It's slow moving. It's quiet, and it's rarely dirty. So it's hard to really tell whether it's coming up or not. But most of the rain came from the south, or fell to the south, so it's possible that this river won't be affected very much. Yeah, I have to wait and see. When I get out to the construction site, I don't know why I didn't point the camera in. Maybe the trucks got my attention or something. I was more curious about it. But the area I keep showing you, there's a whole lot of new erosion up there, even with their their erosion guard that they had. There's that, plus on the left side of the trees here, there's another open area that they've got all dug up. So this, all that mud was washing down into the one spot down here in the ditch, and that's what this truck was doing. It's cleaning it up, and you can't really see it in the video here, but there's a lot of mud down there. It was really, really thick and really deep. They're cleaning that up already. And up to this point, it's been overcast, but there's been no rain or anything since I got up. And I go into Walmart and pick up what I need to pick up. And I come back out, or about to come back out, and I can see that it's raining again. So I switched the camera over to the waterproof case. Yeah, I didn't get a lot of rain. It didn't last very long either, just enough to make the ground wet where it had already had a chance to dry out. So that's about all we got. And from there, I just went home. I'm sitting on my computer doing whatever. And I'm probably working on a YouTube video or something.
Attention West Grade Newstead firefighters. Please attend at 224 Gray Road 9 for a residence that is flooding. That's at 224 Gray Road 9, nearest crossroads, Surfside Road 10 and Queen Street. Time is now 16:50.
And just before 5 p.m., the scanner kind of perks up, and the Newstead Fire Department is getting called to a house that's flooding. And I look on the map, kind of where it is, and it's on the South Saugeen River. The one I was looking at earlier that looks like a chocolate milkshake right now. And it's upstream from us. And I figured that the river was rising still anyways, but that, this is 3 hours later when I was actually seeing the river. And so I imagine it's probably gone up a little bit, but this kind of confirmed it to me that it was still rising. So at this point, I'm kind of trying to find any information, if there's any kind of website or whatever that gives any kind of indication of the height of rivers or anything. I've never actually looked for it before. I have no idea what to even search for, but it just so happens I found it. And it's actually the government website, and they do have real-time flows for most of the major waterways in, well, Ontario anyways, at least. I never looked any further than that. That don't need to. I just stumbled upon something quite interesting. Apparently the rain and storms, the forecast for tonight isn't going to happen now. It's no longer in the forecast. But I'm kind of curious, because the water levels were quite high earlier, and there was a fire call in Newstead for a flooded house, or a house flooding, I should say. So I was under the impression the water's still rising, because I'm pretty sure that's the South Saugeen River, and that was one that was really, really high today. So at this point now, I figured the water was still rising, and that just kind of gave me a hint that it probably still is. So I decided to go searching to see if there's any kind of real-time measure of the water levels, and I just seemed to find that. I'm not sure how I found this, I just kind of stumbled on it. It's kind of cool. It's the government website, and apparently they do have the real-time measurements. So I went to here, to Ontario. I've already looked at this on my phone, so I know it's here. And these are all the stations, the water measuring stations. I just kind of gotta zoom in until I get to the one I want. this one here will be the Saugeen River, and it is not all that high right now. Well, the one that comes through Hanover anyways, I guess that would be this one here. No, that's Camp Creek. That one park, okay, I know where that is. So the only Saugeen River one we have here, I wonder... That should be it there. Yeah. So this one here won't be so bad. The one down near Walkerton will be, because the two... Actually, there's 3 rivers that combine here. The Saugeen, South Saugeen, and Carrot Creek. Oh, this one here I think is the Carrot Creek. Come on. Can you pop up? Yep, Carrot Creek near Carlsruhe. Now this one drains into the South Saugeen before it gets to Hanover. And it's up pretty high right now too. So it's just kind of adding to it. So I'm going to click on this one. This is the river that I'm looking at. And it comes up with this map. Actually, I'm going to close that. And I had a disclaimer earlier, I guess they're not going to show it this time. So that's okay. So this here, this is the time. This is today's date, and it's later in the evening. Actually, early in the evening, later in the afternoon. And as you can see here, the water level is still rising, just like I figured. And this is cubic meters per second. So we're almost 230. That's a lot of water. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking of heading on out again. Take another look at it, see what it's looking like now, because when I was down there before, I'm not sure what the difference between here, but anyways, when I was down there before, the water coming into the flood channel where it's usually flowing out of kind of told me that the water was still rising at that point, and it was really high. It was already spilling its banks. So I think I'm going to go down and take another look at it. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be quite a bit higher now than it was. I didn't see this on my phone, so I'm just kind of checking it out. Okay, I don't really know what that is, but that's kind of cool. I'm going to check that out later. Okay. Now, I noticed in the past that there's actually not even just this river, but the Saugeen River itself too. They tend to peak about 24 hours after the rain stopped, and the rain stopped just before noon today. So it'll probably still be going up all evening, overnight. So, okay, I'm curious now. I gotta go take a look.